everybody. Welcome to the 4th Annual Vegan Travel Summit. I'm here with Miyoko Schinner. Hope you're all ready to cook. I have a few things I want to talk about before we dive into it. Okay, where was I? Okay, my name is Gretchen Sheridan. I'm from the Vegan Travel Club. We want to talk about our sponsors. The Korea Tourism Organization is our platinum sponsor, and Antara River Cruises of India is our gold level sponsor. Without them and their support, we would not be able to do this summit every year. This session is being recorded on Zoom webinar, and you can ask questions and the Q&A and in the chat, and we'll respond. You can ask questions of Miyoko or myself. We have replays until the end of the summit. You can watch replays for free. But if you want to watch replays at your leisure for 3 months up after the summit, you can go in and order a ticket. You just log into the website, and then there's 3 little dots in the corner. You press that and then follow directions. You can pay with a credit card or a PayPal or a debit card. And I think we should get right to it. We're going to get cooking. Miyoko, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, how are you, everybody? Happy New Year, and I'm so glad to be here. I've been going on these vegan tours of Italy with Gretchen for about 8 or 9 years, I think.
Going on 10 years. This will be the 10th year.
Okay, this will be the 10th year, so it's a big one. And this year we're doing something that's all new, in addition to a trip to La Marche, which is this sort of far-flung out, unknown region of Italy on the other side of Umbria, across from Croatia, right on the Adriatic. We're going to be going there. It's a place where tourists typically don't go. So we're going to kick it off with that June 1st to June 8th. But then I'm going to be teaching these cooking classes, 3 weeks of cooking classes, week-long cooking classes with an entire culinary experience in the heart of Italy, Naples, which is another really exciting place that I am just so eager to visit. And so today we're going to kick it off with some traditional Italian dishes. And of course, when we talk about Italy, we talk about pasta, right? I was just going to make the sauce, but Gretchen said, oh, you just make something really, really fast. So I'm going to be making a pasta. We're going to make a rustic 15-minute pasta out of my homemade vegan pantry. And this is the cheat method. Don't ever tell an Italian nonna, grandma, that this is how I made it, okay? Because, but I'm talking to people probably in America or so. This pasta comes together in just a matter of minutes without having to knead it, without having to make a mountain of flour on your cutting board and then make a well and pour the water in and make sure you don't spill the water all over the place. That's how they do it in Italy. We're going to do it the foolproof way using a food processor. So let's get started with that. And then we're going to make an Umbrian style tartufo or truffle sauce to go with our pasta. So let's get started. We're starting out with 2 cups of semolina flour and 1 cup of all-purpose flour. All right. Now, if you don't have semolina flour, you can just use all-purpose flour or 00 flour. It's no big deal. And I'm going to get 1 cup of hot water. Okay, so now there's going to be about 2 minutes where this machine has to kind of, process, and it's going to be noisy, and I want you to see what happens. Now, initially, it's going to form little beads, and it will look like cornmeal, and you'll think, oh my God, it's not going to be pasta. And then somehow magically it all comes together and forms a ball in the middle. All right, so it's going to be loud, and I'm not going to talk. So you're just going to watch this for a minute and see what happens.
It's not that talk. It's not that loud. It's pretty good.
Actually, it's not that loud.
Yeah, it's not that loud.
Okay, right now you can see that it's beginning to form little, it looks like cornmeal, little beads. If I were to stop the machine right now, you would see little tiny little balls, little tiny little balls. I said the same word 3 times. But somehow within the next, I don't know, 90 seconds or so, this is all going to come together into one mass in the middle. Oh, and it's beginning to do that. It's beginning to pull away from the sides. Watch this. This is like magic. Now, you could be kneading all of this by hand, but why bother when you have a modern contraption like a food processor. I mean, we're in the United States, we're not in Italy. Okay, just promise you don't tell an Italian grandma. So I just do all sorts of sacrilegious, is that the word? Yeah.
Illegal. We call it illegal.
Yeah, constantly. Whether it's for Japanese cooking, my mother would, she's like, oh, why are you doing it that way? Because I figure, you can. And so why not change things? All right, so it's coming together now. Just needs another minute. Now, how many of you, I'd like to know, actually made the pasta or are cooking it along with me? Put that in the chat if you are making this with you. Oh, look at that. See, now it's beginning to change and come together. It's going to be one cohesive mass. That's what we're waiting for.
Okay, so we have Joyce,
Almost
who
there.
says hello from Seattle. We have Patricia, who's cooking along, and she is very excited to veganize her mother's traditional recipes.
Okay, now. So as you can see, the sides of the bowl are becoming clean. And it's turning into one mass. Okay. Whew. All right, you're going to see some steam coming out of here. This dough is hard, or not hard, it's hot. Because it was made with hot water and then there was more heat generated from turning the machine on. Okay, so now we have this dough here. This is the pasta dough, and this needs to rest for about 15 minutes because we just activated all the gluten. We want to make sure that it will actually roll out properly. So what we're going to do is roll this out. So it's about 1/2 inch in thickness. We're going to cut it into fourths. Okay. So if you've ever watched any of my shows, there is not a single episode where I don't drop or spill something. So just get used to that, all right? That's how I roll. So I'm rolling this out. About 1/2 inch thick or so.
Okay, you have a question from Jody. What size is your food processor?
This is it's a 16 cup. It's a giant one. It is a Breville. I really, really love this one. All right, now I'm cutting this into fourths. And I am going to just set this aside on a board, and I'm just going to cover it with a cloth, okay? Okay. Now we're going to get started on the sauce while that is sitting there. Now this is a tartufo sauce. The very first time I went to Umbria, which is in the center of Italy. I think it's the only region that does not touch the sea. Is that correct, Gretchen? It's mountainous.
Yes, Umbria
Yeah.
is right in the middle. It's not sea. It's not connected to the water. No.
Right. But it's a
region
that's not connected to the sea. Or
it's not the only one.
okay,
Well,
nothing.
I guess
Molise,
Yeah, Molise is not connected. Molise is not connected. Umbria, and then there's well, I guess is Milan's not connected to the sea either.
Lombardia. Yeah, Lombardia is not connected.
Yeah, Lombardia is landlocked too. That's only ones though. All the rest are connected.
Those are the only ones. Okay, so the first time I went to Umbria, I stayed there for about 3 weeks. This is 20 years ago or so. And at that time, there was not a lot of vegan food. And I'm walking down the street trying to figure out what can I eat. And I was getting a little tired of eating pasta with tomato sauce. And then I stumbled upon something called strangozzi al tartufo, which is basically their version. Strangozzi is a type of pasta. Apparently, strangozzi was a type of shoelace, I believe, back in the medieval times or something like that. So it is
some kind of string, yeah.
Yeah, it's a string. Okay. And it's made with a truffle sauce that was just so wonderful. Now, occasionally it has anchovies in it, but most of the time it's vegan. You just have to ask them. And it's typically just made with olive oil, a little bit of garlic, some truffles, and that's it. You can also buy these little jars where, because truffles are expensive, they add porcini mushrooms in the mix, and you can just take that home and toss it with your pasta. But we are going to make a cheating version of it with truffle oil instead of actual truffles. And we're going to add a little bit of cashew cream to it to lighten up a little bit. There is a version in Italy that's also made with cream, with heavy cream called companna. And so I'm not totally doing something that's sacrilegious. I just want Gretchen to know that. So, okay. So we're going to start out with 1 pound of cremini mushrooms, which I have quartered. And I'm putting them back in my food processor. Now, typically I would wash this, but I am right now doing a demo and I don't have anyone to wash the bowl for me. So I'm just going to put it in directly. It's not going to really hurt because there's going to be flour in the pasta anyway. Of course, you can use gluten-free pasta. Now I got to find the lid. What did I do with the, here it is. Okay, we are just going to pulse the mushrooms very briefly to make them finely minced. So this doesn't take very long. Okay, that's it. So as you can see, they are finely minced like this. If you want to do this by hand, you can, but the food processor makes it so much easier. And now I'm going to pick up my computer and we're going to go over to the stove and we're going to start the sauce right here. And in order to do so, can you see that? I got my saute pan here. I'm heating it up. We're going to just cook some shallots. Now, truth be told, I forgot to buy shallots. So I'm substituting red onion. So I finely diced red onion. I got half a cup of it. You can also use a mild onion. Shallots are the mildest and preferable. And I'm going to put some olive oil in this pan. Now, I just want to show you this beautiful olive oil and vinegar container that was gifted to me for my birthday last year when we went to Umbria, in fact, by Gretchen and
The crew is,
the
yeah,
crew
it was,
on the tour. And so
yeah,
it's really cool. O is for olio or oil, and A is for aceto, which is vinegar. And so
vinegar.
they go into different compartments and they don't mix. Now, I don't usually use this for cooking. This is like a fancy thing I put on the table, but I'm going to just use this. Oh, you know what? I forgot to fill it up. So I have to go back to my
Your
to my,
regular jar, your squeeze
to
bottle.
my regular squeeze bottle. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to add that, and we're just going to saute this briefly. All right, now while this is sauteing, I'm going to turn it down low because I don't want to burn the onions. I'm going to turn my computer around and we're going to make the cashew cream. Now, instead of using heavy cream, which thickens things, we're going to make cashew cream, which will do the same thing. So I'm starting out with 3 cups of water and 1 cup of cashews. Now, this is more than I actually need for the recipe, but I always like to have cashew cream on hand in my refrigerator when I want to thicken up a soup or a sauce or something like that. But just remember, it's a 1-to-3 ratio of cashews to water, and that's all you need to know. So I'm going to turn this on now. It helps when I plug it in. Okay, so turn this on. I like to make a lot of noise in the kitchen in case you hadn't noticed.
Okay, for while we're waiting to do that, I posted the recipe several times in the chat box. I posted a regular one and then I posted the
Now,
PDF
cashews
version.
are really, really soft. So as long as you have a high-speed blender, you don't need to soak them. And they will process into a nice, creamy, not gritty sauce in about 50 seconds. Okay, so that's done, and I only need a cup of that. And the rest I will keep in my refrigerator for use later. All right, so I've got my onions, or they should be shallots, but they're onions, cooking in here. And I'm going to go back to my cutting board and we're just going to quickly chop some garlic. So here I got my garlic here, and I have what some of you who've seen me cook on online or somewhere else, I have got my garlic rock. So in fact, I even travel with my garlic rock at times. So I just like to smash my garlic and then the skin slip right off like this. And, you know, 3 or 4 cloves. I don't think you need more than that for this. And we're just going to roughly chop this. This whole dish comes together in about 10 minutes. So it's super simple. You don't have to make your own pasta. You can go ahead and just use store-bought pasta. In fact, that's what I was going to do. And Gretchen insisted that I make fresh pasta. So that's what's going.
Yes, it requires fresh pasta. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. And you know what, that's really kind of what I make most of the time. Once you make pasta, it's so easy. In fact, I'm going to just show you. I'm going to walk over here right there. So I've already, see, I made some pasta earlier today and I already cut this up. And that whole process probably took me about 10 minutes. Now I do have like one of those hand crank. Actually, it's an attachment for my KitchenAid, but I also have a hand crank pasta roller, but you can also just roll by hand. Okay, so now we're going to take the garlic, got my bench scraper, and I'm going to walk back with my computer and I'm going to throw that in there. I think this is probably ready now. And now I'm going to add my mushrooms. Sorry, I don't have a camera person here. I'm now my daughter helped me film all these episodes of, during the pandemic. I can't remember what was the show called? Oh God, Vegan Comforts, Miyoko's Vegan Comforts, but she's not here anymore. She moved to New York and I am what's it called? An empty nester for the
Empty
first time
nester.
in my life, really. All right, so I'm going to add the mushrooms. And this whole dish comes together so fast. So what I'm doing is I've also putting on the my hot water here so I can cook the pasta. How much? Oh my gosh, we're gonna be done with this in no time flat. So it's a good thing I made some pasta. All right, we're gonna, while this is sauteing, I'm gonna, even though it hasn't been 15 minutes, I think I'm gonna start rolling the pasta. So let me just kind of resituate myself here, get rid of non-necessary things like garlic. And I did go ahead and roll some pasta out earlier. And to make it easier to cut, I went ahead and what I did was I folded it. But before I folded it, of course, I sprinkled lots and lots of flour on both sides so it wouldn't stick together. And now I'm just going to cut it. Now you can cut this any width you like. Of course, you can make it fettuccine, tagliatelle, or strangozzi, which is kind of thinner than tagliatelle, I think. So cutting it like this. It's sort of like spaghetti, like a rustic spaghetti width. But you can make it any way you like. You don't, it doesn't have to be exactly the way an Italian nonna from that region would make it. And then I just like to sprinkle a little bit of salt on top. Not salt, flour, sorry. So you see, I've got my pasta right there. I'm going to just trim the edge. And strangozzi is a slightly thick pasta. It's not a delicate pasta. If let's say you're making something with just, there might be a sauce that's a very light wine and butter sauce with a little bit of fresh peas, and you want some really delicate fettuccine, so you want it to be nice and thin, or lasagna or something like that. But sangozzi is sort of a rustic pasta that's a little bit thicker and heartier. So I did not roll this out super, super thin because I want that rustic, chewy texture for this pasta. Okay. And each one of these packets probably is enough for one serving, unless you're a really big eater. When it comes to pasta, sometimes I'm a very big eater. It's hard for me to stop eating. Okay. So are there, by the way, Gretchen, if there are any questions in the chat,
We do have a question. Melinda wants to know what kind of knife you have because it's very beautiful.
Oh, thank you. You know, actually, this is called an enso. It's a Japanese knife. And I actually got it at the farmer's market. The guy that, you know, at farmer's markets, sometimes they have the guys that sharpen the knives, and he had a beautiful selection of knives for sale. And so I bought myself one. But most of my knives are Japanese. I prefer them to like German knives, which tend to be heavier. And I'm just, they keep an edge. It's a combination of stainless and high steel carbon. Or so, okay. So I've got some pasta right here. I'm just gonna
That was
put
quick and easy. That pasta was very, it looks good. It looks good.
oh,
I
it's
have to
really,
say, you cheated, but it still looks good.
hey, that's, you know, the more experience you have, you know when you can cheat and when you
When you
can't
can cheat.
cheat.
Okay.
All right.
We've got another question about the pasta now.
Yeah.
So Dora asks, I've never made fresh pasta. Can I freeze individual packets? So she makes a lot. Can she freeze it?
Yes, I have frozen it, but usually this is what I like to do. Uh, you just put it out like this with lots of flour, and I usually put it into little nests about one serving each. And then I just lay it out on my sheet pan for a couple of days until it's completely dry. In Italy, they also hang pasta. They
Yeah, there's
hang
little
it up
racks.
over a rod like this to dry out. But you know, if you ever buy fresh egg noodles, I mean, before you were vegan, I don't buy egg noodles, obviously. But you know how they're sold on little nests like this? And you can do the same thing. You can dry the pasta in nests. All right, I'm going to see if I can roll this out. So this is the pasta that we made earlier. And let's just see if it hasn't quite been 15 minutes. You can let it go longer, but yep, it is now rolling out nicely. It wasn't really rolling when I tried to roll it out half an inch or so. It was difficult because the gluten had just been activated, but it's rested just enough for me to be able to roll this out. So this is, you know, this is what it's like if you're rolling it out by hand. And then if you have a pasta maker, I can show you the attachment. If you have a stand mixer, let me just show you the attachment I have on my KitchenAid. So that's the pasta. That's the little attachment. It's very, very handy. They're inexpensive. If you happen to have a stand mixer, just getting an attachment for your KitchenAid just it works beautifully. And I can roll out a couple of pounds of pasta in 10 minutes. So
And that has different kinds of forms that you can do, or it just
does,
does
but
like
I don't have it. I just have
tagliatelle?
well, I don't know. I got it from somebody gave it to me, and it only had one of the parts, which just
Uh-huh.
rolls it out. And so you have
Oh,
I have to hand cut it, but the boxes usually come with, you know, I think like 2 or
yeah,
3
the different
yeah,
attachments. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
which I don't have, but that's okay. Uh, okay, I got to go back to the mushrooms for a minute. So typically, you wouldn't do this simultaneously. You would do the pasta first, and then you'd make the sauce. Because the sauce comes together extremely fast. So I'm going to just put some salt in here to flavor the mushrooms. And the sauce is almost ready. So this is how easy it is. I'm going to show you now. Okay, so you want to use a good quality truffle oil. Now, this one actually I got in Umbria on this last trip. This one
Yeah,
actually
that was
has
nice.
truffles in it. Yeah. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
add,
you got this one from where we had lunch? Because this is the place where Stanley Tucci filmed his
no, this was in the town in Scheggino. There
oh,
was
you
the
bought in
Urbani,
Scagino. Okay.
yeah, this was the Urbani Museum. Okay, so I've got a cup of of the, what's this thing called again? The cashew milk,
The
sorry.
cashew.
Cashew milk, and I'm gonna add the cashew milk to this. And I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of this truffle oil. And then I'm just gonna cook this up until it completely thickens up and is absolutely beautiful.
It looks
Might
good
need a little bit
already.
more salt. Now you can just add more olive oil and skip the cashew cream if you like, but the cashew cream really, it saves on the additional oil, the calories, etc., and it creates this lovely, lovely flavor. Okay, so now my hot water is ready. And I'm really ready the sauce is about ready. I'm going to taste it, make sure that I've got enough truffle flavor going on there. And the hot water is boiling for the pasta. Get a spoon. Let me just taste this. Oh, that's so good. And it's so easy to make. Now, if you happen to have porcinis, right now we have porcinis growing in this area. I haven't found any, but I have friends that have found porcini. You could use porcini instead of crimini mushrooms, but obviously this is a much more economical option and it's still delicious. So I'm
Now,
gonna add a little
if you were going to use dried porcinis, would that be possible or no?
you could rehydrate them. I've done that
Right,
as well too.
right.
And
Use them
then
with the broth.
yep. All right. So the sauce is ready. The hot water is ready for the pasta. Um, so let me just roll this out a little bit more. And then I think Gretchen, well, let me just add the pasta that I've already prepared. This is going to be my dinner. Um, so, well, this is a fast dish, isn't it?
It is. It is a fast dish. You know, the rule in Italy, I don't know if you've ever heard of this rule, but you're after you make the pasta, so you make traditionally we only eat fresh pasta on Sundays because all the rest of the week, we want to eat lunch a little bit quicker. But on Sundays, it's traditional that you make homemade pasta. So you
Right.
make the homemade pasta first, you let it dry because there's a little bit
Yes.
of time that you have to do things. And then the time that the water boils is the time you cook the sauce. That's
Yes.
because we start with cold water. So you start with cold
Yes.
water by the time it boils, and that's traditional, like all over, unless you're making a very thick ragu or something along those lines, the sauce should only take the time that it cooks the boiling water.
That's right. Because the most sauces in Italy take 10 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, they're very, very fast. They're very easy. A ragu could take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours,
Right.
depending
Different.
on
Yeah, they're different.
but whether, like most tomato sauces, a pomodoro sauce comes together in just
Quick.
minutes. It's not something that you stew for hours and hours and hours, as is often thought here in the United States.
Yeah, we
So,
want it fresh. We want it
yeah,
really fresh.
right. So definitely, for this class, I have to mix up the order in which I'm doing things, but I am now going to throw this pasta in here, and it only takes like 2 minutes to cook. So, and then
Do
we're
you
gonna
can your own tomatoes, Miyoko? Do you
um
have time?
sometimes, but you
Do
know
you
what I
grow?
found is instead of canning them, you can actually freeze whole ripe tomatoes. And it's better because you really preserve all the freshness, the flavor of the fresh tomato. And when you thaw it, if you just dip it into a bowl of hot water, the skins will slip off immediately. And then once, even if they're frozen, you can start making a sauce with it and it'll capture the flavor of summer. It will be no different whatsoever. And I discovered that by accident because I asked my daughter to chop up tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, and freeze them, and she forgot to chop them, and she just put them in whole. And I thought, oh my God, what have you done? And I discovered it was perfect.
Let me see. Oh,
So,
that is
oh,
interesting.
you know what? I turned off the heat. That was stupid for the pasta. Um,
So it wouldn't boil over. So it wouldn't boil over.
no, no, it's just, it's not boiling because I turned it off. I turned off the wrong burner because I was busily yakking. I'm gonna move it up here where the heat's a little stronger. Okay.
Oh, Polly says hello. She says the last time she made pasta with you in September of 2019.
Oh, well, hello, Polly.
She
Thanks.
says that memory still continues to make her smile.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I am not going to use all of this sauce because I'm going to freeze some. So I'm just gonna, normally what I would do is I would take the pasta, I would put it directly into this pan here with the sauce and toss it all together before I served it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do it in a separate bowl because it's only me eating this right now, and I want to save the sauce for another time. I don't want mushy pasta in it.
You have another question too.
Mhm.
Michelle asks if she doesn't like truffles, so what can she do to substitute the truffle oil? She
Oh,
add something
no.
else?
So what I would do is I would keep the mushrooms and I would soak some porcini, dry porcini, and add those. Maybe an ounce of dry porcini, you get a porcini rich umami filled sauce. So that's what I would do.
Okay, so that answers Michelle's question too.
So
Great.
I'm going to take the pasta, sorry, and I'm going to put it in here. And by the way, for many, many dishes, many sauces in Italy, whether it's cacio e pepe or could be carbonara or, even something like this, Italians oftentimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gretchen, they don't like drain all their pasta in a colander and they save the pasta water to add to help flavor,
They
thin
do.
out the sauce or,
Right. They
right.
even, pasta water they even use to make cakes with. So
Really? That I did not know.
yeah, so that's an old that's an old traditional thing because actually they use it for many different things. And like my mother-in-law used to use the pasta water to wash dishes because the pasta
Really?
water has the starch and it's like a scrubbing kind of soapy water that they used to
Wow.
wash dishes with it, and it was a degreaser. It was a natural degreaser.
That
And
is
then
really interesting.
because it's full of starch too, it's a good agent you can add to cakes. So a lot of times, back in the day when they didn't have a lot of resources, they learned all these tricks to make things taste a little bit better. It's sometimes, dairy wasn't easy to come by, so they would use the hot the pasta water as in cakes as a leavening agent.
That is so interesting. And that's something that, a lot of people don't realize is that the traditional Italian diet, la cucina povera, what the peasant food, poor man's plate, was largely vegan because they didn't have access to dairy and meat and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been in the last, I want to say, really, really the last 20 years, especially in the South. Now it has become like fashionable to eat meat, but primarily in the South, you only ate meat on a Sunday. And if you had it, if you didn't have it, you had to wait for a wedding, for a baptism. Everybody showed up to every single wedding. Whether they hated that person or not, they showed up because they wanted to eat. They knew they were going to eat.
All right, I'm going to take a bite of
Oh, it
my
looks
my
delicious.
angozzi al tartufo. Mm,
Oh, here, Michelle says you
so
can use the
good.
pasta water in many things. You
Mm-hmm.
can add it to soups too. Yeah, I
You
bet you can.
can.
It's probably a good thickener. It probably works good as a
Yes,
thickener.
because
So
there's
anything
starch.
that you want to thicken.
Mm-hmm. Mm. This is my
Okay,
lunch.
did anybody make it? Please put in the chats if anybody cooked with us, because I know that some people said they wanted the recipes, but I don't know whether who actually turned on their burners and cooked. I don't know what we're in several different time zones, so it might be an off time for people to be eating. I don't know. What is it? 2:30 by you, right, Miyoko?
Exactly.
Yeah, that might be a little off time for people to eat, but you can make it for dinner tonight.
Well, this is my late lunch. It's wonderful.
Mm, good.
It's my Sunday. I'm pretending that I'm having a big Sunday brunch or Sunday lunch with all of you, right? Because that's the typical day that Italians get together with their
That's
family,
right.
friends, and have a big lunch. So
That's right. Every Sunday is a big, even today. I mean, even now, Italians are very connected to each other, and it's not unusual that they get together on Sundays. As a matter of fact, if you invite people to your house on a Sunday, they'll always say yes and then never show up because they're going to their mom's house or their aunt's house or wherever house they're going
Mm,
to. Pamela says, looks delicious. Thank you.
it is delicious. And there's more of this in Le Marche and in my cooking classes in Naples, and you can join us there, I hope.
Yeah, and I want to share a little bit with everybody what that is so we can get an idea. Okay, so Miyoko has two tours this year. One is in June, June 1st to the 8th. And this is the typical tours that she's been doing with us for the last 10 years. They're groups of 20, 22 people. They are very food orientated, but we do a lot of stuff. They're nice full days. We do a lot of things together. Here I have a picture of Miyoko singing. She had a jazz night a few years back. That was lovely. We're in the vineyards here a few years back as well. We do a lot of wine tastings. We had an event in Tuscany. We had a cooking lesson also last year. I mean, it's a really nice way to get to know, like, I have so many people that take Miyoko's tours and that are friends for life. They do other things outside of the tour times. They go to other events together. They meet up together. I mean, it's just a great way to meet like-minded people and to be around people that have your same types of enjoyments and things like that. So on this
Italian.
tour, yeah, we only have 6 rooms left on this tour. So if you want to get on it, I'd say do it quicker than sooner than later. Now, the new thing that I'm really, really excited about, and me and Miyoko have been working on this for a little bit now, is Miyoko decided to do a cooking school. And it's just super exciting. She picked Naples, which makes me even more happy because this is the area that I live in, and it's Naples right now is super vibrant. It has Naples is 3,500 years old, and it has gone through many, many, many different phases. It's been up, it's been down, it's been the best city in the world, the worst city in the world. It's been it all. It's been it all. And when you walk through Naples, you get to feel it all. You have the Greek ruins, the Roman ruins, the French cuisine that's indefinitely incorporated with our modern cuisine today. I mean, it's layer after layer after layer after layer. And right now it's having a resurgence. I mean, it's just beautiful and wonderful. We're going to stay right in the heart of the city. She's going to do 3 weeks. So the second week is going to be different. So if you want to book 2 weeks, you can. It's an intense 5-day cooking course. So we're going to be cooking 4 hours a day and in a professional kitchen. And we're going to really get serious. It's not a touristy kind of thing. It's a serious time, cooking time. So we're going to have 2 6-hour culinary sessions and 3 4-hour culinary sessions. The 6-hour culinary sessions are going to have a market tour first in the markets of downtown Naples, and then we're going to go over to the professional kitchen and cook for 4 hours. So that's very interesting, and we have some very, very good stops on these market visits because Naples is set up in little neighborhoods. So very similar. You have to think of it as like the 5 boroughs of New York, but just concentrated into a mile. So everything is very, very close, and there's definitely lines. Like you realize when you've crossed over into another neighborhood. You took 2 steps across the street, you're somewhere else now. And every neighborhood is very distinctive. So we're going to go visit some different markets and do some different things in that area. And we're going to walk. We have a few guided tours. So outside of the culinary things, we do have. We're in a place that's full of history, so we have to see some stuff. So this little picture that I have here
We're
with the
also going to be
line,
eating some specialties of Naples,
we
right?
are. Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna eat all the specialties of Naples. We're gonna hit every single one. Naples is famous for the pizza. Pizza is a food that's traveled to every single place on the earth. Everybody knows it. But we're going to have the vegan sfogliatella, which is like a conch shell pastry. Typically, it's filled with dry fruit and some kind of potato cheese filling. We're going to have the vegan version. We're going to do we're going to have, they have a sauce. I know we're talking about Naples, but they have a sauce that's called the Genovese. It's very, very popular in Naples. It's been popular for centuries, and we're going to have this sauce as well. It's a Sunday sauce, similar to a ragu. There's a wonderful vegan butcher, and he does all of the typical um, cured meats in the vegan version of all these cured meats, which is very special because it's unlike when you go to Germany or other places that do their versions. But the Napolitans have a whole array of very high end cured items. So this guy does it very special, and it's very interesting what he's doing. Very creative. We're going to go to Mount Vesuvius. We're going to have a wine tasting. Mount Vesuvius is known for their wines. It's some of the, just like Mount Etna, we have two volcanoes in Italy, Mount Etna and Mount Vesuvius. They're some of the best wines in the world come from those two volcanoes. It's the ash of the volcanoes around. They're very small vineyards. You're not going to be able to get them anywhere else. We have a beautiful view of the whole Bay of Naples. That's our last night. That's going to be spectacular. And then we go to Gragnano. Gragnano is not a tourist destination. Gragnano is the first town that figured out how to dry fresh pasta. They're located in a little cove between the land and the sea. And the sea breeze was like the perfect environment to dry fresh pasta. And back in the day, when you went to Gragnano, all you would see outside was just hanging pasta because they've been doing it for almost 200 years. Now, because we're in modern times and there's other factors, everything's inside in curing rooms and things like that, but they still dry pasta in the traditional way. So we're going to go there one afternoon. We're going to see the process. We're going to hear the history, and then we're going to taste some of the best pasta, in my opinion, best pasta in the world. Okay, so that is the that is pretty much how it's going to roll for this cooking school. I don't know about you, Miyoko, but I can't wait.
I
I
can't
can't wait.
either. I'm
It's
really
good.
looking to it.
It's
Yep.
going to be really good. I mean, then we're staying in a hotel right in the heart of the city. So after we do all these little tours and do our cooking and we do our little adventures, you have free time, and Naples is alive. It is an alive city. They say New York never sleeps. You got to take New York and times it by 10, and then you're in Naples. If you have problems with noise, you got to bring some earplugs because the Napolitans aren't quiet and they like to party. It's one of the things they do the best. But when you start walking around the city, it's very, very vibrant. It's very vibrant and full of life. So it'll definitely be a good time. And we're going in a very good time because it's October. So it won't be too hot. It won't be too cold. You can wear a light sweater, a light jacket. Towards November, it'll start to get a little more chilly in the last week. Okay. I think
Yeah,
I
I
covered
just
it
want to
all.
mention, don't forget La Marque. That's happening June 1st to June 8th.
Hmm.
As well. And this is a region that is not very well traveled by most people, but absolutely stunning. Lots of history, nature. It hugs the coastline, beautiful coastlines. We'll be going to the beach as well. Should be hot, swimming weather. So two very different tours, and I hope you'll join me on one of them, if not both.
Yeah, yes, yes. And one more point. So the cooking lesson is only 5 days. It's very intense and straight to 5 days. But we have a little special offer if you book 2 weeks. Miyoko's going to do 3 weeks altogether. The first week and the second week will be different. The week in the middle. So if you want to sign up for 2 weeks, you'll have two different courses. Okay, that's a good incentive, and we'll give you a special price if you're going to sign up for both of
And
those
it could be
courses.
week 2 and week 3 as well,
Right.
too. So.
Yeah, if you want to go later in the thing. And then if you sign up for week 2 and week 3, November 1st is a holiday. It's All Saints Day. It's similar to the Mexican Day of the Dead and things like that. So it's a big celebration here if you're interested in seeing some real Italian culture, because that's a very big day. November 1st, November 2nd are big, big days. Okay, I think we covered it all. I'm sorry that I didn't get a chance to taste the pasta, but I guess that's I guess I got enough pasta. I'm in pasta world over here.
I think so. I think
Yeah, I
so.
think I got it covered. I think I got it covered. Okay, thank you very much, Miyoko. You're always wonderful. I think I answered everybody's questions as well. Let me just make sure I don't have anybody else that wants to say anything because I have to check it for a second. Okay, we have Carla that says thank you. Dora that says she thinks she's in after the summit. I'll contact Gretchen. That's great, Dora. Hope you can make it. Let's see. Oh, someone said that you sang a song during the
Miyoko,
uh
during the pandemic, yes, from
yeah,
Joy.
during the
Sent
pandemic
me
you
some.
sang for everybody a few times. Everybody really enjoyed that. That's a few people mentioned that. Mimi, I don't know her. Her name's not totally spelled out here. Um, and then Dora says again, I had Napoli pizza, Napolitan pizza, and now she wants another one. Oh, that's all great. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks as always from Michelle. Melinda, I think I'm in for 2 weeks. So great, Melinda. Just contact me when you're ready. Okay. Oh, she just filled the website. Yeah, there is a form on the website. So if you go to the website, it's tiernotours.com. You look under the vegan section, you'll see Miyoko's tours there, and both tours are listed. And there's a little form for the cooking school. It just helps me figure out which weeks you're going to be going on, and it helps me organize how you're going to go.
And it
So
is a smaller tour.
oh,
So
yes,
just,
yes, yes.
yeah,
So we've
yes.
got to say that. It's only 8 to 12 people. That's
Mhm.
fantastic. It's only 8 to 12 people.
Mhm.
So it's really, you're going to get a lot of instruction. Miyoko's going to be right on your back. So you better do it right. She's going to do it Italian style with a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I love you. So Susie says, I love you, Miyoko.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I think that's it. I
All
think
right.
that's it. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for all coming. I hope you take the time to make the recipe and you enjoy it. And I'll see you all soon. Thank you,
Okay. Ciao,
Miyoko.
ciao,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye bye. Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.